One big craze that I've talked about that has taken the automotive industry by, well, storm is, well, the small compact SUV, even really clouding over the sedan market and maybe giving SUVs a run for their money. But one niche that's always been there is, well, what lies behind me. Hey, welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now, station wagons are nothing new, and you could arguably say maybe they were the first sport utility crossover wagon-esque, not a sedan vehicle. Well, there's a few lingering around, and, well, they may actually make your head turn. So wagons definitely aren't all created equal when it comes to exterior design, size, and, well, that power plant under the hood. This particular model being the cream of the crop. Now, specifically, this is the 2019 Mercedes E450, and starkly contrasts, well, the wagons I grew up on. Everything from the Chrysler Cape platform with its small squared off designs to the Buick Roadmaster, which was a land yacht that, heck, made us feel like we could run around on the inside, with some Volvos thrown in between, which they themselves have definitely evolved. But with that emblem on the front of this one, well, this one definitely takes notice, and, well, that horsepower, well, truly delivers. So what is it about the E450 that truly wins out? Well, compared to this small crossover SUV sedan-like move we're going to, well, it still holds on to sedan quite a bit and just adds a little bit this way. That versus where we're headed, which is going more up this way, more tight, and, well, just looks quirky. This design still holds on to some nice estate sizing, nice sedan qualities, and, well, keeps me grounded at the bare minimum. Now, when you look at the numbers, what you see is about 194 inches overall. Wheelbase fairly stretched at 115. Other good numbers is in the width, around about 81 inches, height about 58. What that overall means is, well, it's nice and tight to the road. Really reminds me of a good old sedan, just a little bit bigger. Last number is ground clearance, about 3.6 inches. Basically meaning, for my 6-foot-plus frame, good old back-bending affair to climb inside. So what's great about the E450 is it really blurs the lines from sedan design to the wagon qualities, and you see it really from front to back. First off, with the grille warfare with that huge Mercedes emblem, that front end that looks like every sedan we've seen and really confuses people to think, well, it's just a big, nice sedan. As they sweep to the side and see you pass by, well, that's when they get the true indication of what this vehicle delivers. And even the profile really kind of blends it with the accents here on the window, really stretching out and sloping quite harshly here at the back end, but while truly the roofline really straightens out right at the back. Those two really blurring the kind of impression that this is really aerodynamic, well, when it's really all business. And you see that here at the back end with a nice, huge, wide offering when it comes to the stance, about 0.9 inches wider than the front. And that really gives you, well, nice sporty stance, plus maybe just a hint more cargo on the inside. Now, when it comes to safety and function, well, again, the big rear hatch, nice backup sensors, and a backup camera, which is nice and in HD. Something I've been comparing as of late is really what is the camera quality. This one being ultra crisp, and it couples nicely with the 360 view. The camera mounts on the side mirrors and at the front. But what you really want to look at is what lies behind here. So this is really where the wagon wins out, in my opinion. Of course, bigger than a sedan, but when it comes to the smaller SUVs, this is truly usable space, because smaller SUVs are going vertical in the essence of their cargo. This going in a traditional, wider, flatter offering when it comes to putting your items inside. Now, real good operation here, real easy to use. Just simply press here one time, it rises to the occasion, and probably one of the most quickest operations I've seen. Even better is it really gets up out of the way, really giving my 6-foot-plus frame plenty of height not to turn this into a banging affair. Now, if you happen to be a little bit more vertically challenged, what's great is there is a stop feature here with the button. So as it goes up, you can just simply press it to stop at what height you prefer. Me, of course, let it get up out of the way. Now, once it is open, really a nice cavernous area, huge opening, that rivaling a sedan all day, which just doesn't give you this type of spatialness when it comes to interior volume. Now, what you're seeing here is around about 34 cubic feet of space, around about 64, 65 cubic feet when all the seating is laid flat. Now, diving a little bit closer, you can see what really lies in here. Diving into the cargo just a little bit, one thing you'll notice is this rear tonneau cover. Now you can manually put it into place, but one thing that's interesting is when this hatch rises, if you have it in place, this will actually retract up, really revealing what lies beneath. And as the hatch closes, this will go back, really giving you some nice security, hiding what is in the cargo. Now, if you want to use it manual, just keep it out of the way. As for the flooring, really nice and broad, really can hold everything with ease, and plenty of height here for bigger items. One thing to note with the angle of the rear hatch, basically all your bigger items will go about right here, about a foot, 2 foot deep into the cargo. Now what lies beneath is maybe the biggest surprise, and as we remove this will be what you reveal from the good old days, that third row seat that faces backwards. Now, practice makes perfect when it comes to this cargo area, specifically what lies beneath. Now, as you see it here, this is with all the seating lay flat. It's over 64 cubic feet total, but most importantly is what's behind the second row, around about 34, 35 cubic feet. And that's what's great with a wagon. It's really got a lot of horizontal plane, and specifically here on the E450, nice and flat surface versus, again, smaller compact sport utilities just are going more vertical than they are going deep. Now, one thing to remember is with this angle here, most of the bigger packages are going to be about a foot and a half deep into the vehicle before you can really go kind of more bigger up in this area here. Now, what's great is what's lying right here, and it came as kind of a shock after a few days. I was thinking the good old days of that reverse captain's chairs pointing out the back. Well, this one actually has one, and you notice it once you remove the rear carpet, even that divide here. What you see are these two handles. What you got is real simplicity when it comes to operation. Just simply pull right here. This pushes the seat back into its position. Note here, you can actually remove this floor. That's what confused me the first time. However, if you just simply pull it, let it work on its pivot, that will actually tuck it back and become the seat bottom. One thing to note is take the seat belts, tuck them in, otherwise it's going to be kind of a knuckle breaking affair to get them back out. Then all you do is simply lay it down. What's great with that is when you do it the correct way, this seat back is actually locked in position. If you do what I did the first time around, this was removed, actually shoved into place, and that just isn't the correct operation. This really gives you nice structure. Now, one other point is here under the rear cargo floor are the headrests, which you can put up there for traditional setting. Now, as for the size individual, well, my 6 foot plus frame really shouldn't be back here, because after all, that comes into contact with the ceiling. Instead, it should be smaller individuals, children's, just like the good old days, the adults up there and the children, well, watching the scenery go by. Now, one big feature, and with that heavy feature, is the rear tonneau cover, but there's a lot of operation going on here. But when you have to remove it, it does take just a little bit of extra oomph. So let me show you how to put it back into place. First starts with this outer anchor here, basically going into its home port there on the passenger side. Pretty much just line it up, slide it in with ease. Then what you're going to do is take it to the back side of this anchor on this side, then just simply slide it back. Locks in with ease. Now, there is a release here. Just simply press it and it will go either way, and then you just simply remove it in the reverse manner. Now, what you have is a nice tonneau cover. Again, that kind of locks into place and can really go nicely with that rear hatch as it rises, or you can do it in the manual sense, of course. But what I truly like is this feature here, and this is for the four-legged friend. Really has some nice anchor points here in the upper ceiling. Really allows you to put this up, keep the four-legged friend at bay. Now, there is some kind of open points back here, so smaller animals may want to poke their head through, but pretty much even for my smaller dog, they weren't able to get through here at all, primarily because of the headrest. So looking at the second row right here, what you're first going to notice is nice creature comforts when it comes to the outer occupants, getting the most attention with the stitching, the nice bolstering, really sport styling just a hair with really a little bit of flair here on the outer side. Now, there's a little bit left over for a third occupant in the center, but it will be arguably tight with basically having it a difficulty finding the actual seat belts as people kind of scramble around to find their nook and cranny. Even more so when it comes to the center hump, the feet position going to be a little bit tight. So if you go with traditional setting of 2 plus 2 back here, that's going to be the best fit with the nice center console left over for some added elbow support and dual cup holders that spring out, as well as a little bit of storage. Now, one thing you'll also notice is a tri-zone system back here. Really allows the back seat drivers to, well, dial up their heat or coolness when they're going down the road, as well as they do have chargeability with traditional household outlet and a traditional power supply there as well. Now, if you do have to go full cargo, well, it's made fairly easy on the outer side pillars in the form of a simple button here. Just simply pull it and the seat backs will tumble forward. So this E450 does everything well when it comes to a wagon, when it comes to transforming it to a 7-passenger hauler, or heck, a 2-person with a lot of cargo. It does it quite well, and it does it in an exterior design that is, well, superb and has guerrilla warfare that is, well, awe-inspiring. But what people really want to talk about was what lied beneath here, because, well, 0 to 60 numbers were impressive at 5.1 seconds, and who knew, well, getting groceries needed to be that quick. Now, what we have lying beneath here is specifically a 3.0 liter bi-turbo V6 engine. Now, it's going to deliver around about 362 horses and 369 foot-pounds of torque, and with that 4MATIC grip at the 4 corners, well, it was neck-snapping fun. Now, it's coupled nicely to a 9-speed automatic transmission, not to mention numerous dynamic driving modes that definitely gave this some track worthiness. Now, the huge LCD screen in the middle when it comes to entertainment and all the other operations is going to take a little bit of extra learning curve and, well, more time than I can explain here, but it all starts really with this center cluster, basically in the form of this little mouse-like device here, as well as this turn toggle knob. Now, we've seen this across the board on numerous other premium vehicles, so it doesn't take a lot of learning curve when to get here. But what I like, as always, is the home button and the return screen that really gets you out of any functions if you lose your way. Now, the home screen really is nice and simple and gives you a lot of operation that you can simply kind of go through with ease. The best part is it's way up on the dash, meaning it's barely a glance down to get to, but best of all is simply select what you're looking for and go from there. Now, some other operations you're going to want to look to in this area basically is the dynamic driving modes I mentioned earlier, and there are just a few functions. First off is the econo mode, which everything really relates to this screen up here as well. As you change into like comfort, it explains to you what you're doing, as well as into the sport and sport plus. Now, I only tested the sport plus as of one time, and really it just gave me a lot of neck snapping fun and really contrast this wagon as a, well, everyday driver to the grocery store into, well, a track ready vehicle. To set your comfort, what's great is there's no real confusion by reaching down below the seat cushion, but everything's really positioned here on the door, really allowing you to kind of look over and select. Now, what's great is you can move the bottom cushion in a traditional setting, but you can provide extra support when it comes to the thigh cushion here. Now, you do have heated and cool seats from the front occupant, and if you prefer to be the true pilot, well, you can set the front passengers yourself here, and it is quite fun to heat them up when they're not paying attention. Over on the left side, some other buttons basically you're going to want to get used to. This is the nice autonomous driving. Press that and it will allow the vehicle to kind of sense what it's doing and really take over driving. As always, of course, the driver needs to pay attention to take control when it needs. Now, this is going to be lane departure here, parking sensors turning off, and the heads-up display. You can turn that on and off as well. For elbow support, there's a nice center console, almost with this divide to tell people, well, which side their elbow should remain on, but it does have a little bit of function, revealing a nice deep center console. Also having USB connections and an SD reader. Now it does for this edition of Road Warrior and a test drive behind the wheel of the 2019 Mercedes E450, a wagon that reminds us of where we once began, long before this crossover blending SUV sedans that's really invading, well, the market. And this reminds us of, well, we used to do it so right from the start. And it really starts with the traditional profile, but dressing it up with, of course, grill warfare, a nice power plant that reminds us we can go get groceries a lot quicker than you expect. And even better is really fitting the whole family, plus a couple extra friends in the back. And typically that's what it's all about. Now what I'd like to see is, well, maybe this take over the sedan market and get rid of some of those little crossovers that look quirky and just not as cool as this. Now, as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.